Hello, and welcome to just another episode of Morrowind Modding Highlights, where we take a look at some of the best mods that get released each week. And today we're taking a look at the best mods of June 18th through 30th, and yes, we are, doing June in January. We've got a lot of catching up to do, so, we are working on that. But anyway, there are about 74 mods released during this time period, the top 10 of which we'll just be taking a look at here today. And as always, downlinks and timestamps are just down below. So let's go ahead and just get started here with our first highlight, which this time around is Unto Dust by Melkor Dark and Greatness 7. Now, basically, this is a particle effects mod that adds a new particle effect to the tombs, Nordic barrows, and burial caverns of Morrowind and Solstheim. And now this is just a very minor effect here. This just adds a dust particle to the air in tombs and barrows. And it's a pretty neat effect that just, enhances the atmosphere here. But at the same time, it is very difficult to showcase because it is just such a minor effect. I mean, I don't even know if you can actually see it in this video footage. It's it's barely there. I mean, you can see it if you just pay really close attention. It's there, but, it is kind of hard to see. That said, though, this is just a really neat mod, and this also uses MWC to just add this to every tomb and barrow in the entire game, including modded content. So you will just see this on the Towering Build to mainland just as well. But anyway, this is just a really neat addition here, and I'd recommend checking it out. But next up, we're taking a look at Map and Compass by JCS. Based a bit on the concept behind Null Cascade's Get Lost mod. This mod comes with a variety of features to replace the in-game map and mini-map, with the option to replace the mini-map with a basic compass, and to replace the in-game world map with one of any of a variety of different maps that you can, switch between, depending on which region you're in, with support for just a number of modded locations like Liathenia, the mainland, Cyrodiil, Stuk, Skyrim, and Stros M'Kai. By default, this mod comes with 2 different map packs that you can use, including scans of the original paper maps that came with Morrowind, and London Rook's Outlander map pack. But you can also download the grid map pack for, some additional options here. You can set any of these maps as your default world map, or, just switch between them. And this just allows you to more realistically explore the game without, having a magically updated map at all times telling you where you've already been and where you're going. Instead, you might just have to rely on just a regular old, basically paper map, to navigate the world, and, that's just kind of a cool feature here. But moving on, our next highlight is Fort Moonmoth Overhaul by Etel Shadow. A cosmetic exterior overhaul of the Imperial Legion fort outside of Balmora. Fort Moonmoth Overhaul turns this outpost of, just Imperial civilization into a more proper functioning fort, with lots of new atmospheric details and additions to make it feel just a bit more alive. This includes a new double set of gates to, extend the fort's defensive capabilities, as well as new towers to the fort itself, which don't really serve a function, but, do add to the verticality here. The courtyard has also been fully detailed with lots of new clutter, and not to mention a new archery range for soldiers to practice on. And overall, this is just a really nice scenic addition to your game here. Coming up on our next highlight, we have MWC Daedalus Book Jackets by Daelith and Necrolesian. In essence, this is a re-implementation of the 2006 Hall of Fame winning mod, Book Jackets by Daelith, a mod that added unique covers to just every book in the game. But of course, given that the original mod was released in 2006, Book Jackets did this by using a .esp and just modifying every book in the game to utilize a new book cover, which isn't necessarily ideal for compatibility. Thanks to MWC and the Magicka Lua, this reimplementation does away with the .esp aspect of this mod, and instead automatically applies these new unique book covers to just every book in the game without modifying anything, which, just ensures compatibility with other mods here. And if that's something you're looking for, there's really no reason not to give this mod a try. But next up, we're taking a look at Hidden Robe Armor by Milord. And, well, this mod basically does what it says it does, in the mod name here. It hides armor underneath your robes, and, that's it. So in the vanilla game, if you were wearing pauldrons or braces or, that kind of thing, that armor would just, kind of poke through the robes that you were wearing, and, that could be kind of an interesting aesthetic, but I think for most people, it might just conflict with their sense of fashion. So what this mod does is make it so that if you're, wearing a set of robes over armor, that just, completely covers up your armor. So, no more pauldrons just sticking through, your robes here. And there are a set of options that you can turn on or off in the mod config menu, as well as a blacklist. So, there are some pauldrons that you do actually want to poke through your robes. You can just set those so that they can just show up here. And there's just a fair bit of customization here, and this is just a kind of neat cosmetic mod. But going on here, we have a weapon sheathing, bow position edit by Kayum. And, well, this is actually just a lot like the mod we just showcased, in that it's a very minor cosmetic mod. And basically what it does is edit the position of the bow in weapon sheathing. And real quick, you can see just where the bow is in the original weapon sheathing mod. And you can see that it's kind of facing just one way, and it doesn't exactly match up with the animation for when you draw your bow and then put it back. So it's kind of just inconsistent. And, what this edit does is just, make it so that the bow, position just, faces the other way, as you can see here. And this just helps it to better align with the animation. So when you're drawing your bow, your hand will just go back and touch the top of the bow here. And when you're putting it back, your bow will just, face the same direction as the motion that you're doing when you're putting it back on your back. It doesn't magically, change direction and face the other way like it does in the original weapon sheathing mod. And that's all this mod does, is this one very minor edit here. But if you like, visual consistency, this might be a good mod to, check out here. But for our next highlight, we're checking out Simple Saran Docks by Indify. And as the name here would suggest, this is just a simple add-on to the City of Saran, adding a small set of docks and a few ships to the Saran waterfront, with just a little bit of dockside clutter and a couple of new NPCs, one of which has, some new dialogue, and also, can take you to the city of Vivec if you so desire. This is a comparably just more lightweight and vanilla-style mod than some of the other mods that add, docks to Saran, like Saran Docks by Valley Lily or Saran Waterfront by Thonder. So if you're looking to add just a bit more to the city of Saran in a way that doesn't, impact the city much, this is just a great alternative to check out here. But moving on, we have MWC Hide the Escuma by Necrolesian. Another just a re-implementation of an older mod. MWC Hide the Escuma is a remake of the, the original Hide the Escuma mod by Mana User, which makes it possible to simply hide your Escuma or moon sugar instead of having to dump it on the ground in order to barter with, merchants here. This is now done automatically, so, you don't need to worry about dumping any of your contraband in order to trade here. And with this MWC implementation, this is just, applied to the entire game, including support for modded content. But that's all it does here, so going on, we next have yet another, just rather tiny mod, right-click menu exit by Merlord. While tiny, this is arguably a massive convenience mod, as it allows you to close or exit any menu in the entire game, including bottom menus, dialogue menus, inventory menus, alchemy and spellmaking menus, and so on and so forth, by just right-clicking anywhere, or using your assigned, menu hotkey. No more manually having to close a menu by hitting the actual close button. And now it's just a click away, no matter what. Another MWC mod, this will certainly save you a bit of time, but obviously there's not a whole lot to showcase here, so just moving on to our final highlight, we've got Reactive Resistance by JCS. Another gameplay mod, this one attempts to just make the game a wee bit harder, by making it so that disabling magic effects like Drain Strength, Paralyze, Blind, and so on and so forth, cast on NPCs or creatures will only work for a certain amount of time, with said NPCs and creatures gaining a temporary immunity to those spell effects, so that if you cast Paralyze on an NPC for, say, 10 seconds, afterwards, they'd have a short window of immunity, about maybe 300 seconds, so they'll just shrug off another paralyze spell if you cast one during that time period. This prevents exploits of, stacking negative buffs on an NPC or creature during combat, but as with all MWC mods, it has just a lot of customizable features here, so you can adjust how long the immunity period is, and set conditions for different magical effects. And if you want to make the game just a wee bit more difficult by getting rid of a potential exploit, this is a mod that you may want to just, check out here. But that's it for today. As always, down links are down below. So, thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you all next time.